So my name's John Nicholas. I do a lot of development, playing with Unreal at the moment, and I've been messing around with procedural level generation, which then got me into the question of how do you do this in a multiplayer context. So then I got the top-down sample, ran it, tried to spin it multiplayer, and it didn't work. So I looked around, did lots of tutorials, hunted around the internet, and no one seems to really fix this in a way that I like, which is mainly that, well, let me show you. The top-down sample has this way of doing movement, and I quite like it because you click the mouse and it goes to the location, and if you put boundaries in the way, you go around the boundaries. So this is much more like the ARPG style that I know, right? Let me show you. So with a box here, if I click on the other side of the box, the character will walk around the box, face it, it's all very nice, yeah, it's cool, I like it. The problem though is when you take this sample and you turn it into multiplayer, let's do 2 standalone, I believe this actually works. You end up with, that runs around, you can't see each other because it's 2 standalone games, right? When you do it client server, listen server, 2 again, and run it, this guy runs around, this guy does not. So that's our first problem. And the way a lot of people do this is they're changing the controller or they're changing the character and they're making it so that it doesn't navigate the same way. Because the way the navigation works in this is there is actually a nav mesh, which is the green thing, which is all the bounds. You can see that in the level here, boof, right? And that's controlled by this little guy that sets up all the settings for it. And what that means is in the controller, so you got your content folder, top-down blueprint, which is the example, and then in blueprints. So what we have in the controller is a function, let me get it onto this screen, which effectively does this. So when we set destination, and that comes from project settings, again the wrong screen, it's a bit too easy, probably messed up OBS now, but then we'll find out. Input settings, action mappings, set destination, left mouse button. So you click the left mouse button, comes in here, press it, opens, release it, closes, goes through, hits a branch. We haven't got VR on, so it means it comes down to here. We do move to hit location. Move to hit location ends up calling simple move to location, which uses the AI to do it. So when you're doing this locally, that's fine. You tell it where to go, and your machine is the authoritative machine. It's a single source of truth. When you're doing this in a multiplayer context, it's much more CQRS, right? The server has the source of truth, which means that you ask the server to do things, or you say, I'm going to do this. The server processes it, validates it, makes sure you are allowed to do it, and then effectively releases an event that says, okay, you've moved to here. Then your front end updates. Now, you don't see this when you're doing multiplayer with WASD, because, let's see if it's still open, the character movement component does a lot of magic for you. It does a lot of stitching. So, down here they're showing you've got this autonomous proxy. You've got an authority, which is on the server, and then you've got this simulated proxy, right? And so what happens is you issue the movement, it goes to the server, it applies it, and then your thing basically simulates it, and then when the server catches up and tells you where you are, it updates. So this is where you get a bit of rubber banding from. If your lag is very high or packet loss is high, because eventually the server goes, no, you're actually over here, and your machine updates to come back, right? So that's what simple move to location is. And the reason why it's not working is because this is happening on the client, and the AI stuff doesn't get replicated back to the server. We have to make the AI stuff run on the server. So that's what we're going to do. So, first off, what we're going to do is we're going to look at the controller, and we're going to turn replicators on for it, because that is off. And I don't think that makes a massive difference in our world. It just runs around. But now we can see the other character, right? Just to make point out the difference is that if we turn this back off, because I didn't demo that properly, compile, save, play, we're here, that guy's there. Oh, you can see each other. Okay. Interesting. But anyway, we need to turn replicates. Let's leave it off and see what happens. This will be fun. Okay. But we need to make this run on the server. So the way we go about doing that is we want to change this to call something that runs on the server. So we're going to add a custom event. Move to hit location server. And there's a thing we can do on events, which is we can set the replicates to be run on server. Okay, so now we can make sure that the thing calling this. So let's catch up with ourselves, right? So instead of doing this, we want to do this, right? Move to hit location server. And in move to hit location server, we want to know, we want to pass in the reference to it, right? Anyway, that's done that and move to hit location. We want to do authority. And if it does, then we want to do the update the AI thing. Okay. It's all good. And so we now want to pass the hit in, right? Dink. And the hit goes to there. And now we can take that off. I wonder if this will work. So we can move around. And we can move around, but look, the rotation's wrong. Okay. So, well, the reason why I like this is because we're on a client and the AI behaving, right? So that's my big win. The problem now is the rotation doesn't work. So, how do we fix that? Well, I played with lots of different ways of doing this, and none of them really worked very well. I tried plugging rotation in at this point, but then it only sets it when you start moving. So if you go around a corner, you're rotating the wrong way. I tried lining it to velocity, that's the same problem. In the end, I ended up fixing the rotation every frame based on the character's current velocity. So let's have a quick look at what that might look like. So let's add it then on here. Oh, so I should show you the sorts of things I played with first. All right, before I got to this, I went around the houses. So start looking at the character, and in the character, was there anything? There was this use controller rotation, yaw, and roll. They didn't actually change what happened. Let's show you. So it still misbehaves, and so it tells us that the controller is not rotating the rotation properly, right? So let's take this off because I want to see if they matter later on. Let's come back to the character movement component. Now in the character movement component, you have some settings as well, the rotation settings. Use controller desired rotation. So we set that. We hit play. Nada. So now the controller rotations are on. So let's go back to that. Let's turn that back off again. Okay. Boom. So we need to update the rotation. So I want to do this on event tick. I want to do this every frame. I mean, I don't really want to, but I don't see any other way of doing it. And we're going to set control rotation. and we need to get a rotation. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get the pawn, get controlled pawn. We're going to get, I want it to be in the direction we're going, so I'm going to get this velocity. And then, because I want it to be a direction, I'm just going to unit vector it. Maybe I don't need to do this normalized step and then pass it straight into time. Wait, what the hell's this? Possessed? No. Set rotation. Let's try it without that. Okay. So it's still not working. So now I think this is because we're setting the rotation in the controller, but as I showed you in those two other bits, the character is not set up to map that onto itself. So if we go into top down, if we go into the character, we look at the character movement, and now I'm hoping that just ticking this one box will be the simplest way of doing it. Rotation settings, tick that, pass, save, play. That was too much to ask for, clearly. I haven't broken this. Okay, that's the main bit. Okay, cool. So now let's go and start setting stuff. We tried being nice. Then we can just set everything up. So I need to find those free rotation settings again, which was copy the rotation vectors, your axis, and speaking gobbledygooks, I'm trying to think while talking. Okay, I'll find them in a second. Too much stuff going on. Power and character movement. What happens if we go to the character itself? Here you go. Pass, save, play. And now we have the best solution I've got so far. It's a little glitchy sometimes. Oh, you see how it goes upwards. And I think that's the AI finally winning at the end, right? Because we're kind of overriding it frame by frame. But the AI is still saying, nope, you're facing upwards. So, maybe we could try fixing that. But this is what I wanted to show you. This is the end of the video here, right? I just want to try one more thing, and this might be a massive meander and disaster, so bear with. What happens if we do this on the server? So let's try the same trick again. I'm just calling these rotate server, not because they're good naming conventions. Just for example, I just want to the velocity 0 at the end, right? So that's upwards. That's the problem. It's working exactly as intended. So let's move this if velocity is not 0, right? Is it moving? Would that be too easy, right? We could do get velocity, length. greater than 0. It's getting dirty. Oh, it's still not working. So there's something in there, right? And it's, we're almost going to have a store to hit location, right? Anyway, that's not worked. But yeah, that's what I wanted to show you. There's still a couple of bugs. I still need to figure it out, but I think we're most of the way there. So thanks very much. If someone's got any comments or observations or ways to even get to the next step of this, it'd be awesome if we get some comments. So thanks very much. Cheers. Bye.